Hello everyone, welcome back to another one of my matches. So today we're going to be looking at my sprite deck up against the Fire King Snake Eye build. Again, this is going to be a meta match, or we're up against meta, and I'll jump right into it. So I'm going first, and this is my opening hand with Troll, Super Poly, Shifter, Starter, and Imperm. And at this point didn't know, and we're going first, so I didn't know whether or not to Shifter right away, and typically I probably wouldn't unless I knew they were on Fire King, and so I decided not to. Starter was first. If that got ashed, actually, I probably would have shifted just to try and make him blank, but it went through. Also, this is going to be a good showcase of exactly how we can break their board, what the minimum requirement is, and why Super Poly is such a good card. And at the same time, this will also showcase a couple of combos. So Starter summons blue searches Jet, or burn 1/1, standby main phase, summon another Jet, search, searches out smashes. In a game 2 scenario, I'll probably search for Starter instead there, so I can smell a carrot, go for Gigantic, and then from there we're going to summon out the Iperia to draw one. So the reason why I summon Iperia here is because I want to link 2 into Sprint, into Melfield the Forest, into a caddy. And so the Iperia gives me a +1 because they didn't draw me on the Jet, so I knew Iperia was definitely going to go through. If they have hand traps to stop the Gigantic, they would have done it on the Gigantic instead. And so Iperia is a free +1, plus it's a free body to go into Sprint with. If I go into Red or Carrot, it's a bit of a waste. And I drew into Carrot, which is a pretty good draw. In hindsight, I probably would have moved the Iperia to the far left zone because I like to keep the right zone for whatever monsters I want to stick around. These 2 zones are kind of risky to play into. I don't know if you can see my cursor, I think you can. The ones under the EMC is just because of Animal. Those Sprint, so normally I would have again summoned Carrot in the far right one because I figured he didn't have anything. I chose not to summon Sprint just yet, and I will, summon Carrot just yet, and instead just made Sprint straight away. But obviously, if you guys are doing this, just summon Iperia in the far left zone, summon Carrot after that, and then Sprint after, just in case they held the Imperm for some weird reason. Angler dumps 2, gets dumped to summon 2 Nimble Beavers from deck, summon the Carrot, and then overlay into Melfield the Forest, which then searches you the caddy. And then we're going to set 3 cards, summon the caddy, and we have a draw in hand as well. Pretty solid opening hand. Also, and then the reason that why we have Shifter is obviously to shut down those meta decks, the ones that just lose to graveyard hate. But it's also a discard off Super Poly if it's dead, because obviously we have a bunch of cards in the graveyard already. So we don't really neg. Or we do neg, but like it's basically a dead card anyway, so we don't lose anything per se. Main one, he discards Nib, obviously to summon Debel Star. Summon is successful. He goes Chainlink 1, Debel Star. And Chainlink 2, Caddy. And then I decided to go Chainlink 3, Imperm, targeting Debel Star, because it's very unlikely that he drew the one of original Sinful Spoils, and so it's probably correct to just do it here. And then of course, because we trigger Caddy, we can then go into Forest, or use the Forest effect to stop it from attacking, to keep our the rest of our board safe, and we can make an Omni under that, plus we have the Bounce and we have Carrot as well. Not to mention the smashes plus the Super Poly. So yeah, we can literally go 1 for 1 for each one of their cards until they run out, and it's just so strong. Obviously in that scenario they didn't open very well. Obviously 0 hand traps aside from maybe the Nib, which I saw beforehand, they didn't draw it for turn. I saw it in the replay, that is. But yeah, the 1 Nib was not enough because Gigantic protects us. Very nice. Alright, so this is going to be a quick match because I'll give you the result beforehand. It's a clean 2-0, and it's only a 2-0 because I opened so well, right? We have a Super Poly, we have a Ghost Bell, we have a Beaver, which is a starter, we have a Blue as well to search our Jet, which doesn't even need to search Gamma Burst because it's already in our hand. So assuming we can just break their board, we should be good. The only other consideration is whether or not to use Bell on their turn, or to use it on our turn to stop the Garunix, or the Flamberge from Special Summoning 2 from Grave. And so this is something that you have to think about as well, whether or not to side out Ash first of all against Fire Kings, but also using Ash or Bell or whatever hand trap on their turn is going to play into Talent or Thrust if they choose to play that. I haven't seen any thrusts yet because there are no like good traps or spells to set from your deck, for them at least, but Talent's definitely a very real card, and so it depends, right? Like sometimes you can see that they have like no cards in hand, or you know their last card. Maybe it's worthwhile bailing to just stop them from having recursion. But until you have all the cards figured out, I think it's kind of risky to bail because it is very impactful in your turn as well. Oh, I forgot Princess, of course. Also stops that. But in this instance, Super Poly should be enough. And I guess at this point, I also didn't know whether or not he was playing Pure or Fire Kings. So I was holding it. I'll fast forward this because this is the standard combo. Well, not standard, it's a combo from the opponent here. So he summons Ponix and Viking Island to pop the Kirin, which then specials the Ponix from Graveyard on resolution. Is that correct? No, my apologies. Viking Island, pop the Ponix, search Garunix, Garunix special summons itself, pop the Kirin, Kirin summons the Ponix from Graveyard. There you go. Okay. Into Sunlight Wolf, into Poplar, and Ash off the Flamberge, and then he adds back the Kirin from the Sunlight Wolf, makes IP with the 2 level 1s, into a Princess, into summoning Flamberge back, into zoning the IP, and then makes a Whale. That's his turn. So let's have a quick look at his hand. Let's see if he has talents. He did not. Okay, so 2 Nibs, Kirin, and Snake Temple. So the Temple was known, I believe. Yeah, Temple was known. The Kirin was also known, so the other 2 were not. So you can assume that like they have whatever. Ash. I also ask here what is known in hand aside from Kirin. Because I was half paying attention, which is something you guys should probably be, paying attention to the opponent playing. But yeah, drew a second Bell there. So ideally I want to keep the rest of the cards because they're all very good. Blue, Beaver, Gamma Burst. If I were to OTK them, I'd probably just keep everything. So discarding a second Bell is definitely correct. Although the only downside is that you might expose that you have the second Bell in hand. Otherwise you probably wouldn't discard it unless your other cards are just better than Bell, which is unlikely. But it's possible. You do have to Super Poly in the draw phase. You can't wait until main phase to summon out the Fenrir, because the Flamberge Dragon will summon out during the draw phase. Quick effect during opponent's turn. You can target one monster card treated as a continuous spell in the field, special summon it to your field. So that's that. Also, funnily enough, in the mirror match, you can also choose your opponent's cards. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, you can. So Super Poly, discarding Bell. Use those off into Mud Dragon, and of course they do have the Flamberge cards, right? They have sorry, not Flamberge, they do have the Garunix in graveyard. So if he goes Kirin to pop, which in this case he couldn't. Oh no, he can because Flamberge gets back 2 bodies. Yeah, so if he goes Kirin to pop a fire body and then attempt to summon the Garunix from graveyard, we do have the Bell for that, which means that our Mud Dragon will not get popped because he won't be able to summon the Garunix to pop the second Kirin from the deck. So usually, once you do get the Mud Dragon out, they can no longer Princess target, but they can still pop with the Kirin. So usually having like a Crow or a Bell here is necessary to break the board. But yeah, aside from this, the board isn't too scary. You so just circle here and Ash, or the follow-up, but it doesn't matter because we can kill. Beaver into Angler, Mud Dragon Calling Dark, overlay into Gigantic Sprite. He thinks here, so he wants to go Kirin to either pop the Mud Dragon or the Gigantic Sprite. and it's probably the Gigantic. So he goes Kieran to summon, pop the Phonics, and then he goes Garunix effect to summon from graveyard. You bell that, all good. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 summons exactly. So you have to be very careful as well with your targeting with the order of the Mud Dragon targeting protection. Because thankfully, of course, these are all water. So even if they have Veiler, they can't target any of these. So you normal summon Beaver, summon the Angler. They can still hash it, of course, but they can't imperm it. They can't, what do you call it? Veiler it either. And then just make sure you call Dark before going to Gigantic and then do the rest. Plays around Nib here, Jet searches, the starter. So I search starter here because it doesn't matter if they draw me here, as long as sorry, it does matter if they draw me, but it's not too bad, right? Because you have a blue search, which is stopped, but you can still clear the board. You can still probably do a lot of damage, especially with the sprint dump into 2 more bodies. What else? So I also wanted to bait out the Ash here if they had one. They probably didn't have one. If they didn't Ash the Gigantic though. But Jet obviously usually grabs a Gamma Burst. If they're aware of that, they might Ash it here. So my blue searches red. We'll just get all the sprites in rotation. Link those 2 into Sprint. Sprint dumps Angler. Angler goes into 2 Beavers. Overlay those on Mannequin for fun. Activate starter to summon Carrot. Good battle phase. So something else I could have done is obviously just go into Mosquito and smack this like 14 times, but this also wins the game. Alright, that was another quick match. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the Sprite deck at work, cooking up the meta. Yeah, stay tuned for more. Take care. Bye.